Yeah. All right. Let's talk MLB here. We got Brewers, Padres, Rays, Athletics. We got Henderson for the Brewers, Mize for the Padres. We got Peralta for the Rays, Lopez for the Athletics. I'll let you break both games down and tell us what you have up at WagerTalk.
So there are 10 MLB games tonight on Monday, 10 games. And I've got 40% of them covered, and I'm not a high volume guy. In fact, I've only got one best bet tonight. It's in a different game, and I've also got a bonus free play in the late game between the Royals and Dodgers. Do the Dodgers stay cold or they heat up tonight? I've got the answer. So two games for you at wagertalk.com, but we're going to look at two more games here on the late card as free plays, and they're interesting games to talk about because both games have pitchers that were traded over the last week during the trade deadline, and both of the new starters did not find new life with their current teams. In fact, they both struggled. So we'll discuss whether they look better tonight or not. First game we're going to talk about is the Rays and the Athletics. You talk about haves and have-nots. Oakland's only in fourth place in their own division, but don't let that fool you. Don't let the fact that the Angels are behind them by 2 games fool you, because the Athletics are the worst team in baseball. In fact, if you look at expected run differential or actual run differential, which gives you an expected one-loss record, the Athletics are a minus 164 runs in the season. Well, yeah, how's that? No other team in baseball is worse than minus 110. The Rockies and Royals are both minus 110. So the Athletics are 54 negative runs worse than anybody else in baseball. Maybe that explains why they went 5-25 their previous 30 games, as I was doing last call on Saturday with Joe Ranieri here. And lo and behold, right after we talked about the futility, they won back-to-back games on both Saturday and Sunday at Boston. 11-6 combined scores. Now they travel cross-country without rest back home. Well, not back home, back to Sacramento. They don't have a home. They're homeless. They're the Athletics. They have no city, apparently. But I do think maybe that was the bottoming of that falling knife. We never try to catch a falling knife. And yes, they're just 6-24 their last 30 still. And just, 7-25 their last 32. But look, even the worst teams in baseball win almost 40% games. And even after the 5-25 slide, they're still at 39% for the season. And then you've got the Devil Rays, the Rays. Don't call them the Oakland Athletics. Don't call them the Tampa Bay Devil Rays, damn it. They're 71-46 on the season, and they're in first place in the AL East, the very competitive AL East. But their home road split's been extreme. This year, there are 20-some games up at home. And we talked about this Saturday on last call as well. And once again, the great momentum shift. We talk about the A's can't win. They win back-to-back games. And then Joe and I talked about how the Devil Rays are so much better at home, 41-18 this year, just 28-28 on the road. Whoop. Well, they went back-to-back wins on Saturday and Sunday. In fact, they swept Seattle, and they won the games in Colorado as well earlier in the week. So that terrible road record that 6 games ago was sitting with the Rays at just 24-28 on the season is now suddenly 30-28. But the fact remains, their home road splits for years now, the last 4 or 5 years, has been pretty extreme. And one of the reasons is because they have a terrible home ballpark. And by the way, don't look at last year. They played in a AAA stadium. They were just 1 game above 500. You got to throw that one out. Trop Field is miserable. It's a bad atmosphere for the opposing teams. So the Rays' records are always a little inflated. I know it's ugly. I know you got to hold your nose here. But the Athletics actually fit my long-term underdog system, which I developed almost 30 years ago back in the 90s. It's a contrarian indicator, and the Athletics fit that tonight. So I do like Oakland plus 140 here. You also could take a little bit of a hedge and take the run line at minus, I think the run line last I checked in this one, instead of taking plus 40, you're getting like minus 115, minus 120. So if you want a little extra protection. But the total is 10 here. It's a hitter-friendly park. I like the Athletics here. I know it's a contrarian call. It's hard to make a case for them on the surface. But the other thing I will point out is the pitching edge actually might go to the A's tonight as well. Jacob Lopez has not been good this year, 5.6 ERA. But Freddie Peralta has been just as bad, 5.4 ERA. And yes, he was traded by the Mets a couple weeks ago, the hapless Mets, to the contender Rays. But as I said earlier, it was not a spark. He got lit up, no pun intended, in his first start with Tampa last week. Yeah, they held on to win that game at Colorado, but he gave up 9 hits and 7 runs in just 3 innings. Yes, it was in the altitude, but keep in mind, Sacramento is one of the most hitter-friendly parks outside of Coors Field in baseball. I think Lopez might have the pitching edge tonight. A's starting to heat up, perhaps. Rays a little overrated. Take a look at Oakland as a live dog plus $1.40 tonight. Ruff, ruff. Live underdog here at 9:40 Eastern. All right, the other game we're going to talk about on the late card is also a pitcher that was just moved during the trade deadline. And this one is Milwaukee, San Diego, also at 9:40 Eastern. 2 teams in playoff contention. In fact, the Brewers are having a fantastic season, currently 30 games above 500. Thing is, though, they're not taking their foot off the gas like the Dodgers because the Cubs are on their heels. In fact, the Cubs have the fourth best record in the National League. They're 6 games up in the wild card race. And despite the fact that the Brewers are 30 games above 500, they're just 5.5 games up in the divisional standings. That's one of the reasons they've gone 7-3 their last 10 games. And unlike the Dodgers, they haven't taken their foot off the gas or continue to play hard. Both these teams, Padres and Brewers, 7-3 their last 10. They're both 13-7 their last 20. But San Diego is still in just third place in the NL West, way behind the Dodgers and also behind the D-backs and fighting for those wild card spots. San Diego enters here off back-to-back wins against Houston. Meanwhile, Milwaukee has won 5 of 6, and they had back-to-back wins at home against Minnesota. Traveling without rest here, though, after the getaway games on Sunday. Pitching matchups are what I want to talk about. We got Logan Henderson, who's having a really nice season. Only 50 innings pitched, but a solid 2.7 ERA this year. And he's been pretty strong as well since coming back. He got shut down after mid-May, didn't make any starts for 2 months. His last 5 outings, he's looked pretty solid still, and he's given up 2 runs or less in each of his last 4 outings. He only goes about 5 innings. They're a little cautious with him. So Milwaukee's strong bullpen will probably get extra work tonight. But Casey Mize is a real X factor. Here's another guy traded from the Tigers, who weren't exactly not contenders, but they were a seller at the trade deadline. And he is now on the Padres, and boy, did Mize not pitch well, just like Peralta at his first start with his new team last week, 5 days ago on August 5th at Arizona. Another hitter-friendly park, which is ironic, but still, he gave up 8 runs on 9 hits in just 3 innings. And what really jumps out is he only had 1 strikeout, and he had 3 walks. So control was a problem. The question becomes, does he bounce back tonight? I think he actually does, because he's still got a solid 3.4 ERA on the season. He was pitching well at Detroit before the deadline. Not very familiar with pitching at Arizona, to say the least, because he was an American League pitcher. And now he's at home. Not that he's familiar with San Diego, but Petco is always more of a pitcher-friendly ballpark. I think he'll have a spark here with the new team at home. Take a look at the Padres with Casey Mize in a bounce-back spot tonight. And they're actually a dog at about plus 105 here as well, because Milwaukee's been so strong this year. I think this is another live dog tonight. San Diego plus 105 at 9:40 Eastern. You could look at that on the run line, or you could just take the +1 and get it around minus 110 at a pick 'em price. All right, 2 free plays on the late card for you. Don't forget, I've got 2 other games tonight for you as well at WagerTalk.com right now. A strong best bet, which is going out to my personal clients tonight. My favorite play on the board is my single best bet tonight out of the 10 games, the strongest play on the board. And then the second strongest play, in my opinion, is the game that was just a bit outside from making the cut. And, of course, that goes up as a daily free play, and that is the late-night game between the Royals and Dodgers tonight. And that's on my page free right now for Monday. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com, and get there quicker with shortcut WT.buzz/SM. And don't forget, I'll have free play videos throughout the week for baseball here, and also more NFL preseason free play videos. Gave you the Panthers and the over on Thursday. That Thursday night football has just been incredible the last few years. Even in the preseason, we don't cool off. And I've got more coming this week. So make sure you click subscribe and you click the bell as well for an instant notification throughout this week and every week, so you know when the free play videos are loaded daily for baseball and football, which is here as well. Also, some special offers, buy 3, get 3 on my page. Rest of the year for 47% off, almost half price, 47% discount for the rest of the year, all sports. That gets football, baseball, and basketball for the rest of 2026. And also keep an eye out for a special offer that'll be coming this week, a 1-year all-access pass, which is going to include membership to my weekly market call, which starts in September. It's going to be every Thursday night before the NFL prime games. And we're going to deep dive into those. Also, an advanced look at my Fade the Public information before the video is released. Also, an advanced look at my college top 25 data, my 10,000 game simulation power ratings, all in advance of the videos. You get insider access. So keep an eye out for this market call invitation, and special offers will be up this week on my page, Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. And once again, get there quicker, WT.buzz/SM.